Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Jacques Talk podcast. And Sam Montgomery is a big man who tackled people at LSU from 2010 through 2012. How about that for an introduction? Sonic Sam.
Thank you so much. That's what I do. I tackle quarterbacks and, make everybody happy.
Well, Sam, let's start here. Let's start with the latest news with you. You are a college graduate. You have graduated from LSU. You promised that to your mother. I saw pictures that she was there celebrating the event with you. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about earning that degree.
The degree was like a big milestone in my life. It was just great going through the system of LSU, having to really focus and get in those classes. It was a tough grind from the start to finish. I left early, of course, as we all know. So just to have that discipline to come back and finish as early as possible, I really feel like it's setting really good foundation for my future.
What would you like to do after football, Sam? What would you like to do with that degree?
With my degree, I really plan on to broaden society, use my communications to be a general with the next generation, really mentoring them, making sure that they are a productive member of society and knowing how to categorize themselves sociably and move independently through this thing. A lot of people don't have their fathers in their life and they have to be influenced by a lot of outside things. So I plan to bridge in that gap like it was bridged into me by so many beautiful people at LSU, yourself, and as well as others to help groom these young men into productive people.
Because you enrolled at LSU in 2009, right? You were a redshirt your first year. So we're talking about a dozen years after you first got there earning that degree.
Oh, yeah, I know it was something important. And again, it's all about finishing the process. You come here, you play football, you get all these accolades. If you're the championship mentality that I have goes beyond the football field. It goes to people. It goes to my core primary neighborhood. It goes to the relationships that I build. And in order to be a true champion, no matter what platform it is, I have to sail to the top.
Yeah, Sam, looking at your LSU career too, not too shabby. 11-2 in 2010, finished number 8 in the country. 13-1 in 2011, SEC champion, of course, finished number 2 in the country. And then in 2012, 10-3, and that team really had a shot to be in the national championship game again. That heartbreaking loss to Alabama at home. But you take a look at it, 34-6 was your overall record in the 3 years that you played. LSU's taken some negative headlines in the last year, but overall, I would think that your LSU experience, both on and off the field, was a very positive one.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the group of guys that I'm with, the group of guys that they're right now in the present, it's going to be adversity. It's going to happen, but in between all those mid times, it was so many good times of relationships that I built with OBJ and Honey Badger, Jarvis Landry, and even Brick Haley and Chief John Davis. Just really those guys just really building a good relationship, a family atmosphere with the staff, personal times that we had, even with the student and faculty. I really just try to focus on in those times when things get hard, when the press hits, when stuff hits the fan, I just really try to focus on those good times and that good energy, because that's the same thing when I was in the moment at the present that got that championship effort, the relationships that I builded and just pushing me forward to have everybody see greatness or happiness through the adversity and hardship.
Yeah. And you and I visited over the summer during the pandemic. Now it's hitting me that this is going to be the 10-year anniversary of the 2011 team. Can you believe that?
10-year anniversary. No, I can't believe it. It seems like it was yesterday. It definitely does. It seems like it was yesterday, but those were good times. Sometimes I'll go back, look at some of the old clips and things and just look at the excitement, the explosion, Yeah.
I guess 10 years ago right now, you and your LSU defensive teammates, along with the chief, John Chavis, you guys were already practicing that Oregon offense, right, for that season opener against those guys, the Ducks?
Oh, yeah. definitely. So, it's in a different conference. So, we had to make sure to run some extra sprints, and Mafia gave us a nice little serving of great programming. So it was all good.
Yeah, I just remember hearing about that. They're getting ready for this offense. They're sprinting at practice every day because Oregon goes no huddle and they catch people off guard. But man, the season opener that year, the way you guys started by squashing Oregon in that huge season opener, what do you remember about that?
It was explosion. We always, the group of guys that I hung around, we always had a point to prove to ourselves because, ultimately the bare minimum standard was greatness when you walk in the building. Legendary is what we aim to establish, but greatness is the requirement to even get on the practice field. There is no in between. It's just a mentality.
So I'm looking at the defensive starters on LSU's team in 2011. Mo Claiborne, Tyrann Mathieu, Barkevious Kiki Mingo, Eric Reed, Michael Brockers, Kevin Minter, Benny Logan, Brandon Taylor, just to name a few. And oh, by the way, Sam Montgomery. What about the collection of guys you played with that year?
Collection of guys that I played with, all of us coming from different places, and with the Louisiana group mostly playing with themselves. Respect was earned every day, good, wrong, and different. When you stepped on the field, I learned a lot of different things from growing up around other young men about how to be a real man, whether it was just learning how to be more, secure in yourself. When you're coming from a small country town, you're faced with so many obstacles and different town, different environment. But those guys were really good at, just like Greenwood was for prepping me for adversity and hardship, those relationships were really good for building me as a person and preparing me for the future. So those men are great men. I still look at them today and still look up to them today, and they're doing so many great things. It was just Tyrann's birthday. Brandon Taylor was working with the facility, working with kids, doing his thing. Got a lot of guys from that 2011 team that are flourishing and giving back to the next generation. So that's definitely where I plan to take my talents and my energy.
And I've talked with a number of your teammates, your former teammates there, about 2011 and what a great team it was, and how I would put that team almost up against any team in LSU history. Heck, I think if we played a game against the 2019 Tigers and the 2011 Tigers, you guys might give Joe Burrow a little headache for a while. It's hard to say. It's hard to go against the 2019 Tigers. But looking back on it, what's your overall feeling about that team?
For me, it was a period of time. To me, it was like the last little bit of old school of the new school, if it makes any sense. It really was the foundation starter of what you can do with raw talent and the ability to believe. And that set the foundation of being underestimated by a nation, that all you need is the right group of people with the right mindset, and you can get to a national championship platform. And off of that, I feel like that just carried momentum that one day, whether it be later on down the line, but my number is 99. So when 2019 came, just like with Johnny Football, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There's a post. Sam Montgomery says, "This is the year of the 9." Next thing you know, Joe Burrow comes. He gets number 9. I knew right then that we were going to win a national championship. And on 2019, Joe Burrow with the 9, we get the national championship. He has the same type of explosive season that we had. So it literally put everything back into perspective for me and put me in a peaceful place. Everything just lined up. It was perfect. 2019 was a good year.
It won't do us any good, right? I mean, we're going on a decade of this stuff. But do you ever roll over in bed, or one day you're at a stoplight or anyway, and just think, what were we doing that night offensively? Couldn't we had a better game plan? I mean, does that ever make you angry that it just seemed like that game plan was just so poor on the offensive side of the ball?
The only thing that makes me a little bit upset is I would have to say is that me as a person, when I went out, that I shouldn't have went out, because I feel as though that was literally looked at. And as soon as I went out, they ran to my side. So I take full responsibility for not being in shape, even though I was holding it down from one to the end of the game and there was no movement, no advancement. I should have been more in shape for that game, because I could have been able to play 1 through 4 quarters and didn't even need a break.
Yeah.
Ball games close, kicking going on back and forth. Sam Montgomery gets tired, goes out, they break, go, do what they do. I feel like that, honestly, if I would have been more in shape, if I could have gave a little bit more, I could have stayed out there. I could have threw my body out there, and we could have went to the kicking battle. It would have been soccer, But unfortunately, I feel like I put all that one on me because, defense wins championships. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to, if offense has a bad night, that's something that we have to deal with. But as far as our guys on the side of the ball and me being one of the profound names on the defense and me being taken out that time, I put my responsibility on myself. Should have been more in shape.
Well, there's a classy answer right there. I tried to bait you into pointing the finger, didn't I? And you pointed it back at yourself.
I said I've been watching a lot of interviews, so
And granted, Alabama, they were better offensively the second time around. They did some play action passing on first down, and you guys were a little off balance defensively, but they still only scored 1 touchdown, and it was late in the game when the game was kind of already decided. But anyway, great team that you were part of. 2012, and I talked to you over the summer, one of the great nights in Tiger Stadium. South Carolina came in. They were in the top 5 in the country. And it was a night game in Death Valley, sold out crowd. And you, I guess, I don't know if it was your best game as a Tiger, it might be your most memorable. You had 2 quarterback sacks in that game against your hometown or your home state, right?
Big game, South Carolina. A lot of atmosphere, a lot of things going on. But yeah, it was a big game, and for me, it was a lot of respect and a lot of pride in that game. Everybody on the team knew from South Carolina. And again, you got the big 3 in the world at the time: Markevius Mingo, Clowney, Sam Montgomery. To me, those were the 3 best pass rushers at the point in time in the thing. And my main mission there, again, championship mentality, was to be the best and to show the world right here today that, I'm, if not the best, one of the best, and I'm going to prove it tonight in front of the whole world. And that was my main goal. Besides having the personal reasons of sitting back in my 80s and 90s, and we're out these big conferences, and I see a South Carolina guy and just tell him, when we played, I handled my business, run the clip, just I got to have those bragging rights. Now I can't get it on Clemson, but I can get it on USC.
Okay, not to turn the knife on you, Sam Montgomery, but 2012, the Alabama game, which you were really featured, I think, in ESPN Magazine, did a big spread on this game and the build-up and everything in Tiger Stadium. I definitely remember seeing some pictures of number 99 and all that. The final drive of the game for Alabama, are you upset with the defense that you played? Are you upset with the lack of execution on that last drive? What stands out to you, because you had them locked down the entire game basically, and on the final drive they marched down and win the game?
That last drive, I never will forget, the support of teammates. In that last drive, we was in Mustang. I got a call, and there was a bit of miscommunication on the play. Mingo, being as fast as he could, tried to run it down. I was behind him, couldn't get it done, and in those situations like that, everybody wants to point fingers, even myself. I don't want to point fingers, right? But I realized that the main thing is in life and in football is let's not point a finger at the one instant that caused the game, because during the week, each man individually had a responsibility to make sure that he was ready for that one moment. So I couldn't, as a leader, blame anything or anyone for one moment that we were all not ready to execute together. Everybody has to do what they need to do to be ready to perform in that 3-5 second interval of a catch, a play, communication. And it was unfortunate that that cost us so much and we worked so hard, but it just goes to show you, and it was a lesson for the youth, for the generation, that mistakes like this in a factory, it blows up, it goes a nuclear meltdown. On a football team, you could lose millions of dollars and have somebody knocking at your front door. So it's one of those things to where, with all that being said, even though the situation went down like it did, I know that the reason why this moment didn't go good is because we didn't prepare each individually for this moment with the focus, whether it was nerves, anxiousness, whatever, we're not prepared for this moment. So as a leader, again, we had to take responsibility for that. And, that's the end of the situation. We just had to take responsibility to make sure that, that everybody is ready to go. Everybody's on the same page. And that was something that, I, as a freshman, struggled with as well. So it was one of those things that where having those older guys to mentor me and to give me chances, you have to give everybody chances as well and be humble with it.
Yeah, because it is a big what if, because if you win the game, you won your final 3 games of the regular season after that, and then you're in the SEC championship game against Georgia, which Georgia had a really good team, but if you beat Georgia, you're in the national championship, and I don't think Notre Dame was going to stop LSU. Certainly Alabama ran over them like a middle school team in that national championship game. All right, so to wrap up here, this is an oldie but goodie. This is like, I've told the story a million times about when I accidentally parked in Nick Saban's parking spot, and people still seem to love that story, and so I tell that one a lot. But another one is 2011. LSU's getting ready to play Alabama. It's the bye week before, and so it's like a Thursday, and somebody at the end of the press meeting, just kind of a throwaway question to Sam Montgomery. Sam, what do you know about Bear Bryant? And Sam Montgomery, with a straight look, looks at the reporter and says, "I'm sorry, sir, we haven't watched any video of their players yet." And that right there spoke to the generation gap sometimes, and fans assuming that players know about the history and they know about this and that, and they're really just kids going to school and playing football. But that was a funny moment. But you learned who Bear Bryant was after that.
Yes, I did. Growing up in South Carolina, here's another funny one for you. I didn't know who Steve Spurrier was. When I first, walked into the building, was another funny story. Coach Dooley was like, he said, "Sam, you didn't know who that was?" He said, "You don't know who Steve Spurrier is?" And, the whole staff just bust out laughing. But, I think one of the things that was my blessing is that I never paid attention to the hype. And that always allowed me to not be starstruck or be strucken by a big name. Even Alabama, when I was playing Alabama, all I knew about Alabama is that they're LSU rival, and I was wondering why everybody in the world feared them and was so scared of them. See, that blind ignorance was bliss at that time in my life. It allowed me to genuinely be focused on the present time and not be worried about the outside noises. So I wasn't that much informative about football, but I loved the game and was very good at it. So it allowed me to block out the noise, not worry about the big titles or name, just go out here and be the big title in the name.
Awesome. As usual, Sam, great interview today. Great chatting with you. One of my favorite LSU Tigers right here, Sam Montgomery, and congratulations on earning that college degree.
Yes, thank you so much.